Let's take a look at this question. There are 20 cities in the county of Newton. Their populations are shown in the bar chart below. The average population of all the cities is indicated by the horizontal dashed line. Which of the following is closest to the total population of all 20 cities? Let me give you some time to think about that. The keywords here, let me underline them: average population and the total population. So you have to think about what is the relationship between total and average. Okay, let's talk about them. To answer this question, we should understand, how do we get the total and how do we get the average? The total, of course, is the sum. Like you have 20 cities, and you can probably see this, the first one. The population seems like almost 9,000 or 8,000, 9,200, things like that. And the second one is a little bit short of 4,000. So you just add them. Okay, you add them, you have the total. Now, how do we get the average? The average will be the total divided by the number of the items, or here in this case, divide by the number of cities. Okay, that's the average. That will give us the average. So you can see average will be equal to the total divided by the number of cities. And based on this, how do we find out about total? If we need total, here they told us the average is this dashed line. That is, we can read the graph and find out what is the average. But how do we go from the average to the total? Well, look at this equation. If the total divided by the number of cities give us average, but we just want the total, not divide by the cities, and we can do the reverse of divide, which will be multiply by the number of cities. And according to the property of equation, when you multiply by one thing, you multiply on the other side. So here the average will also multiply by the number of cities. The reason we do this is because we want just a pure total. We don't want it divided by the number of cities. So we want to cancel out this division. And to cancel out this division, we multiply. Because multiply is the reverse operation of divide. So divide, multiply, we can cancel them out. Therefore, we are left with just a pure total. And that will be equal to average multiplied by the number of cities, which will be 20 cities. Okay, so this is how we can go from average to the total. Average multiplied by the number of cities will give us the total. All right, so that's the first thing that we have to understand. How do we get average from total, and how do we get total from average? Now, once we understand this, the remaining part of the question will be, how much is the average, right? How much is the average? And to do that, we were told that average population is indicated by the horizontal dashed line, this one line. So again, we need to read the graph for data, for information. Now, we talked about this before. This is a graph. If we need the population, we go to the population side. So here, from this dashed line, and if we need the population, this side is population. If you read the legend here, it says population. So if you need population, just go to this side. And that will help you find the average, okay? Because this is the average line. And when the average line meets the population, that is the average population. Let's read it. How much is that? How much is that? So if you read, it's here. And that is, if you look at it, it's first of all, it's between 4,000 and 6,000. And in the middle, this one should be 5,000. This one is 5,000. So the average should be between 4,000 and 5,000. And to be exact, there's 4,500. So this average should be between 4,500 and 5,000. This is what we can get from the graph. Okay, so it's roughly about this much. Then if we multiply by 20, how much can we get? How much can we get? Now if we can read the average between this, if you multiply by 20, this multiplied by 20 will give us 90,000. And this multiplied by 20 will give us 100,000, which means the total, if we multiply the average by 20, our total should be between 90,000 and 100,000. Now look at the options. Look at the options. The only one that's between 90,000 and 100,000 is D. 95,000, and so that will be our answer. And actually, you can, if you read the graph, if you read it accurately enough, you can probably see this is likely 4,750. Okay, if you can read this to be accurate enough, you have this, and this average multiplied by 20 will give us exactly 95,000. Okay, so two ways. If we can be accurate with the data from the graph, then we can get accurate with the result. Even if we cannot be so sure about its 4,750, the value, we can still determine a scope, a range, and that's gonna be between 90,000 and 100,000, and we can also confirm the answer, which is D, dog.